Hey Odette, it's Dan Stryker, and I want to thank you for meeting with Kaylin the other day and giving her the opportunity to talk about what we do. Um, and she asked me to take a look at your market and your website and just kind of go through some stuff with you that you might be able to improve. So I'm just going to take a couple minutes and go through it with you now. The first thing is the #1 searched term in Westport for hair salons, right? So it's hair salons, Westport CT, and that gets 70 searches a month. Now, you don't need to know that, and that's not important for you. It's important for me because it's my job. But it does get 70 searches a month. And how you know that is that Google has to give that information out for the advertisers. So advertisers want to know who they're targeting, and they want to know how many people are searching for what it is that they are advertising for. And so that's how you find that information out. But anyways, so you see here, there's these top 2 spots, okay? Historically, these top 2 spots get 40% of all of the search volume. Okay, so everybody that searches for hair salon Westport CT, right, they're getting 40%. So they're getting about 30 hits probably a month off of 70 searches, okay? Now you see here, we're going to skip Yelp because that's like a directory and they really shouldn't be up there and then get knocked down pretty easily. But Fringe 125. Okay, the reason why I want to go through this is I just want to show you a couple things. One is it's the typical salon website. Okay, great architecture, great design, hardwood floors, you know, professional pictures. You know, it has pictures of products. It has pictures of, you know, hairstylists doing hair and all that great stuff. And it's exactly what you'd expect when you click on a hair salon site. Now, the one thing that you want to notice is I've clicked on all of them for the most part, and they're all the same. They're all exactly the same. Nothing distinguishes one from the other in the consumer's mind, meaning they all have the beautiful woman up front with perfect hair. You know, they all have their stylists. They all have their pictures. They all have the same thing that I just saw in Fringe 125 is on their site. So the first thing that I would ask myself if I owned a hair salon is how can I stand out from this kind of generic model? Because it's, you know, you want to kind of lead the pack. You don't want to be one of the sheep, right? And so it's, you know, how can I make my site stand out from this generic model as opposed to just kind of, you know, doing what everybody expects. So I have some ideas for that I'll share with you in a second. But I do want to point out some stuff that's I think you're doing well. I think you're doing right. The first one's your Facebook page. I think it's great. You have 255 likes on there. I would like to see that up a little bit higher. And there's ways to do that. But that is one of the ways that people consider you an authority. So for example, if you think about the way you use Facebook, when you go around and you go to different pages, the number of likes that the page has will determine its level of authority in your mind. So meaning if a page has, you know, 3,000 likes on it, is that different from a page that has 40 likes on it? That's different than a page that has 100,000 likes on it, right? Sure it is. So, you know, the number of likes actually determines your credibility. And a lot of the salons that I've looked at have around the same number of likes. It's between, you know, I think about 200 and about 350. So why not make it 1,000 or 2,000 likes, which is fairly easy to do, you know, if you know how to do it. But, you know, the stuff is great. You know, the stuff that you're putting out here is great. You know, and you're looks like you're posting on a regular basis, which is good. That's always important. The one thing is this MailChimp stuff. This would be much better used if you had a blog on your site because you can put what's called keyword rich. It means the things that people are searching for, you can put those terms in your writing, which is already there. I guarantee you they're already in your writing. So if this was on a blog that was on your site, now Google is continuing to be interested in your site and it keeps going back, right? Every time you update your website, Google will go back and check and see what's going on. So if you're updating MailChimp, it's not necessarily going back to your website and saying what's going on. Okay, and I believe you're on page 3 for Hair Salons Westport CT. So that's part of the reason why. But the benefit to you, the competitive advantage to you, is that not many salons have blogs. Like I said, they just have those pictures and then services and make an appointment. So if you put a blog on your site, now you become an authority, right? And people always want to work with authorities when they have the opportunity to. So, you know, that's something that you might want to consider. And it doesn't mean that you can't put it on Facebook, by the way. You just simply share it, or you copy the URL, which is basically the thing up here. You copy that over and put it on the Facebook page, which is exactly what I do from my site. So that's something that would improve your rankings and then possibly drive more business to you. Let's take a look at your site. Your website it's actually not bad. You know, you do want to make the font a little bigger, you know, and things like that. Especially, I don't know what the age group is, but if you have any elderly people that you take care of, they're not going to be able to read that, obviously. Also, this picture is a little compressed, but that's fine. The one thing with this menu, when I first went on your site, I couldn't get it to work. Then I figured out there's like this little spot that you got to get to in order to get onto the actual link. Now the good news is this is only on the home page. I don't know why it's only on the home page, but it's only on the home page. All your other pages, the menu works fine. This search feature, you don't need it here. It used to be a good idea. People used to think if they put this here, then Google would come and look at your whole site. That's why this thing was originally put on. But Google doesn't search, you know, as far as typing words and things. So it doesn't do that, and so it doesn't need to be there. But I like that you have your contact information readily available. That's great, and that's a definite need. So if I were to go back and say, you know, how would I make this visually distinct, visually different from what other people are doing? One of the ways that I would do it, and you do it a little bit on your Facebook page, so you could probably go and create a bunch of these already, but these type of before and afters are great. You know, they're phenomenal for basically they're ongoing testimonials. You know, so if you didn't want to hire me to build a website, my suggestion would be is just have a one-page site. You know, you got to have your pretty woman up top, you know, and that whole thing. And you could, you know, welcome people as you did, and then mention your services that you have, which I think women are pretty familiar with all the services that are available. So I don't think you have to go into describing each service, but you can just, you know, kind of bullet point the stuff that you have. And then all this stuff on the bottom here, you could actually put in the sidebar, or you could just leave it in the footer as you have it. But then as you go down, I mean, if you had 50 people here with before and afters, you know, that would be incredibly different, and it would be appealing, because quite frankly, I don't think that any women believe that they're going to look like this or even want to look like this. This is like high maintenance right here. And I don't mean that derogatory, but it's, you know, they don't necessarily want that, although they know it should be there because they're looking at a hair salon. And so they've been bombarded with that. So I do think you need something like this up top. But what I think is more powerful is when you have something where they can see what it looked like before when people walked in, and then what it looked like afterwards. And I would also do the front and the back. You know, so one of the things that I would invest in right away is a fairly decent camera. You know, fairly expensive camera with a good flash on it and a good lens on it, so that you got phenomenal pictures, you know, that you could fill. And then right at the end, after you take the picture, you say, how do you feel? And they say, oh man, I feel fantastic. I look great. I love the way my hair came out. And there's your little testimonial that you put at the bottom. And so in essence, on your site, it's a one-page site filled with 50 to 100 testimonials. How are you going to beat that? You know, right? So women may not relate to this woman up here, but they will relate to somebody in one of those testimonials, or probably more than one person in those testimonials. And all you need to do is say, this is what we can do for you. So anyways, just an idea. You can take it, you can leave it, it's fine. You can still keep all of this stuff in here. I think the membership thing that you have going on is great, where they can get a manicure, for $35 a month and all that stuff. I think that's fantastic. Gift certificates, blah, blah, blah. You just rearrange it a little bit, right? Or you leave it right where it is and you put the testimonials above it, or whatever, however you want to design it. But it's also, by the way, redundant. Just so you know, with this menu up here. So given this menu's not working, I would eliminate it. I would get rid of it. And then you have this, right, which you could put actually right underneath, this picture, and then bam, you're ready to go. Have all your testimonials, have this as your footer, and you don't really need to do much to this site. So those are my thoughts. There's one other technical thing that I want to share with you, okay? The reason why this person is here, okay? It's a technical term. Don't worry about it. You haven't heard it before, and you shouldn't have. But it's called backlinks, okay? And basically, here's what it means. For you to create a link on your site, okay? So any of these hyperlinks, like location and direction, is not hard to do. So you can link to my site, Strategy 44, right? You can link to that site very easily. But how is it that you're going to convince me to put a link on my site that links to your site? That's where the challenge is, right? So it links back to your site. That's why it's called a backlink, okay? Now, Fringe 125, okay, has 1,347 backlinks. Now, how do I know that? It's my job to know that, and I have tools that do that for me. And I know exactly where all their links are. But that's how many backlinks they have. So what that means is that they have somebody like me working with them. That's the only way to do it. So that's how they have the #1 spot. So that's going to be your one hurdle in terms of pushing your site all the way up. So I'll give you a way to do it on your own if you want, or I can do it for you. But you go to the Salon Geek or something like this. This is a salon forum, okay? And I think you have 4 or 5 people working for you, but let's call it 5. You have them all register an account, and once a week come over here, or twice a week come over here and just comment on something, okay? But what happens is in most forums, you can put a signature, okay? And in your signature, you would put, right, your domain name, right? And then you could put, check out our fantastic salon in your domain name. And that's in your signature. So every time you post, or if you get into a discussion with somebody, that's a backlink. That links back to your site. So it links from Salon Geek to your site, okay? So if you had 5 employees and they did that twice a week, and it can be a one-liner. It doesn't have to be major. But if they did that, 5 employees, that's 10 a week. You could have 500 backlinks in a year, right? So that's one way to do it. If they wanted to do more, they could do more, and so on. But that would be one of the ways to drive your site up higher. Okay, so just to recap, one of the things that I would ask myself is, how do I stand out from the crowd in terms of my site? I think you're doing fantastic with your Facebook page. Again, the only thing I might do is add a blog. So I don't know if you have a blog available for this, or create another one on WordPress. They're free, and use a blog instead of this. Again, if you use a WordPress site, it could link back to your site, which would give you more backlinks. And then also, look at salon forums and things like that, where people could put in their information, and then you could get backlinks that way. So I hope this helps. If it was really confusing, don't worry about it. I'd be happy to sit down and go through it all with you, regardless of whether you decide to hire us or not. It's not a big deal. I can go through it with you and show you how to do it. Hope it was helpful, and get in touch with Kaylin if you have any questions, and we can go from there. All right, thanks.